Hi, hello, namaste. Welcome to Imuna's Learning Point. In this video, I am going to explain you the next topic of the real numbers. So, mainly I am not using the PPTs and only using this PDF because to let the students learn how to learn from the textbook. When I am explaining these things in this textbook, students can easily learn how to learn from the textbook. So I am using the textbook PDF itself to let the students learn from the textbook itself. So now I am going to explain the theorem 1.3, and this theorem 1.3 states that let x equal to p by q be a rational number such that the prime factorization of q is of the form 2 power n into 5 power m, where n comma m are non-negative integers. Then x has a decimal expansion which terminates. Now let us go into the explanation. For example, they have given a value of x p by q in a form that q must be equal to, q's prime factorization must be equal to 2 power n into 5 power m. So let's take an example. Let the example be 3 by 4. So now we are taking the example 3 by 4. If we consider the 3 by 4, we can write the 4 as 2 square. We can write the 4 as 2 square. So it is in the form of 2 power n. Then we have to check 5 power m is possible or not. Yes, 5 power m is definitely possible. How it is going to be possible? So 5 power m means we can write this as 5 power 0. We all know that the value to the power of 0 will be equal to 0. Any number to the power of 0 is equal to 1. So we can write it as 2 square into 5 power 0. So in this way, we can express the 4 as 2 square into 5 power 0. Since we can express the denominator q in the form of 2 power n into 5 power m, where n comma m are non-negative integers, we can say that x has a decimal expansion which terminates. Terminating means to stop after the decimal point. So let us check whether it is possible or not. Now we are dividing 3 with 4. So it will be happen like this. We all know that 4 will not divide 3, so we are keeping the 0. So 4 0 0. We are getting the 3 down. 3 minus 0 equal to 3. And since we have the point here, we can keep the 0 here. Now let us see at which number the 4 will divide 30. 4 4s are 16, 4 5s 20, 4 6s are 24. 4 7s are 28, 4 8s are 32, which is greater than 30. So 4 7s are 4 5 24, 24, 4 7s are 28. So after this, if we subtract 30 minus 28, we will get a remainder 2. Since we have point here, we can put a 0 here. So we will get 4 5s are 20. So in this way, we can say that the decimal which we got by dividing the 4 with 3 is terminating. So since it is terminates, we can definitely prove that if the denominator of the given fraction is in the form of 2 power n into 5 power m, where n comma m are non-negative integers, then the x will definitely have a decimal expansion which will be terminating. So if we observe all the other fractions, you can definitely come across this point and you can understand more about it. So let's try all these examples on your own. Next theorem is going to be theorem 1.4. This theorem states that let x equal to p by q be a rational number such that the prime factorization of q is not of the form 2 power n into 5 power m, where n comma m are non-negative integers. Then x has a decimal expansion which is non-terminating repeating. So let us see this with an example. Now let us consider a number from here only. Let us consider the number 80 by 81. So now I am considering the number 80 by 81. If we consider the number 80 by 81, let's see the example 80 by 81. If we consider the number 80 by 81, now we have to factorize the denominator to check whether the denominator will be in the form of 2 power n into 5 power m. If we factorize the 81, we will get the values like this. 3 27s are 81, 3 9s are 27, 3 3s are 9, and 3 1s are 3. Since we have got the 4 3's, we can write the prime factorization as 3 power 4. But it will be never in the form of 2 power n into 5 power m. Since it is not in the form of 2 power n into 5 power m, where n comma m are non-negative integers, we can say that the result of this particular division 80 by 81 gives you a non-terminating repeating decimal. Non-terminating repeating decimals means nothing but it will have a pattern after the decimal point. So, in this way, we have defined these two theorems. And after these two theorems, we have to use the above two theorems without actual division to state whether the following rational numbers are terminating or non-terminating repeating decimals. So let us see how they have done this. Given 16 by 25, 125. 125 can be written as 5 cube. Since 16 by 5 cube, in the denominator we can write the 5 cube as 5 cube into 2 power 0. We can definitely say that it is in the form of 2 power n into 5 power m, where m comma n are non-negative integers 3 comma 0. And hence we can say that it is a terminating decimal. In this way, if we perform for all these, we can easily check whether the given fraction is a terminating or a non-terminating decimal. And after this, we have another theorem, another statement, and the statement will be like this. Let p be a prime number. We have learnt in the previous classes that a prime number is a number which is divisible by itself and 1. So they are giving that p will be a prime number. If p is a prime number, if p divides a square, if p divides a square, where a is a positive integer, then p will definitely divide a. So let us see how it is possible. Since p is a prime number, I am taking the prime number as 2. If this 2 divides a number a square, where a is a positive number, let us take the positive number be 2 or 4. So now I am squaring this positive number. I will get a value called 16. And hence I am dividing 16 with 2. If I divide 16 with 2, we all know that it will give you a remainder 0, and hence 2 can easily divide 16. So now I am checking whether it is dividing a or not. Since we have took a as 4, now I am dividing 4 with 2. We can easily know that 2 2s are 4, and hence 4 is also divisible by 2, and hence we can say that the statement is true. So if P is a prime number and that prime number divides A square, then P will definitely divide A. In this way, the statement 1 is explained to us here. Now, I am going to explain you an important model in the real numbers. It is nothing but proving of the root 2 as a irrational number. Here, to prove the root 2 as an irrational number, we are using proof by contradiction. Proof by contradiction means nothing but using the opposite, assuming the given statement oppositely. For example, here they have given that root 2 is an irrational number. Now I am considering root 2 as a rational number. After considering root 2 as a rational number, at some point in our theorem, we are going to know that what we have chosen is or what we have assumed is wrong. This type of method is nothing but proof by contradiction. Now let us go into the method. If it is a rational number, then it should definitely be in the form of P by Q, and hence considering a root 2 equal to R by S, where S will be not equal to 0. First, suppose we are considering that R and S have a common factor other than 1. Then we have to divide that particular common factor in order to make them as coprime. I want to explain what coprime is now. Coprime means nothing but a number, two numbers which do not have the common factor is called a coprime. Two numbers which do not have the common factor are called the coprimes. Now here we have root 2 equal to A by B, where after the cancellation of the common factors, we will make them as coprimes. I want to explain you with an example. For example, if we consider 2 by 4, we can say that 2 ones are 2 and 2 twos are 4. They both have a common factor called 2. Hence 2 and 4 are not coprimes. After dividing the both with 2, we will get a value called 1 by 2. Here 1 comma 2 are the coprimes. So after cancelling the both with the common factor, we will get the coprimes. So I am considering root 2 equal to A by B, where A comma B are the coprimes. After getting that, I am cross multiplying A by B with root 2 by 1. When I cross multiply both, root 2 into B will become root 2, B root 2, and A into 1 will become A. Now I am going to square on both sides and also rearranging. When I square on both sides and rearrange, I will get a value called 2b square equal to a square. Now we can say that b square equal to a square by 2. If b square equal to a square by 2, then we can definitely say that 2 divides a square. Therefore, 2 divides a square. Now by statement 1, we can say that if a prime number like 2 divides a square, then it will definitely divide a. Then it definitely divides a. And hence we can say that if 2 divides a square, then it also divides a. In this way, we have completed till here all the steps. And the next step will be, now by the statement 1, it follows that if 2 divides a square, then it also divides a. Since it divides a, we can say that if 2 divides a, then there will be a quotient which is a constant. The value of the a divided by 2 will be a constant. By the statement 1, we have successfully proved that 2 divides a. After that, Since 2 divides a, then it should definitely be a constant. For example, if I take 4 as a, 4 divides 2 will be 2. Since we do not know the value of the a, I am considering that value, integer value, as c. After completing this, we can say that now we are substituting this particular a value in 2b square equal to a square. We are substituting this particular value in 2b square equal to a square, where we have considered b root 2 equal to a and squared it on both sides and got 2b square equal to a square. Now we are going to substitute the value of a in this particular equation. When we substitute to a equal to 2c in a square, we will get a value called 4c square. So we will get 2b square equal to 4c square. Now successfully we got b square equal to 2c square. This means that 2 divides b square. Means we can write it as b square by 2 equal to c square, where c square will be a constant. Where c square will be a constant or the quotient. Since we are getting the quotient, now we can definitely say that b square can be divisible by 2. Therefore, 2 divides b square, and so from the statement 1 we can definitely say that 2 divides b2. 2 divides b. Therefore, both a and b have a common factor called 2. Both a and b have common factor called 2. But we have also said that in the first statement, a and b are co-primes, which means they do not have the common factors. But after proving, we have got that a and b have common factors. Since the thing which we have assumed root 2 as the rational number is a wrong. Since we have assumed the root 2 as a rational number is wrong, then the root 2 must be an irrational number. In this way, we will prove root 2 as an irrational number using the proof by contradiction method. So, like this, you all try to do for root 3, root 7, root 11, root 13. You will definitely get the proofs like this, and you can definitely do it. Thank you, and I will be back with another video. Bye bye.